Hello and welcome to Books and Us, the podcast about learning about new ideas and getting inspiration from books. I'm your host Ranjit Monga. I take up books in the non-fiction category, from which we can get a wealth of knowledge and information.
We use techniques in hypnosis to gain more confidence, speak out, go talk to more people, be more extrovert if you want to, be more introvert, practice a skill. People use it for in sports enhancements.
This episode features Saket Rai, author of two books on hypnosis. The books are Conversational Hypnosis in Action, Influence on the Go, and the second book is Rapid Hypnosis. I've chosen this topic as hypnosis can be a powerful tool to enrich our lives. And Saket is a master hypnotist with over 2 decades of experience as a clinical hypnotherapist. He has trained hundreds of students in hypnotherapy and alternate healing modalities. Saket also holds workshops for corporates. He is based in New Delhi. Hello, Saket Rai. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Ranjit. Thanks for inviting me.
Saket, the first question I would like to ask is that your books are on hypnosis. Is that the same as hypnotherapy?
Okay, the books that I have written are basically on hypnosis, and hypnotherapy is basically using hypnosis in therapy. So yes, the books are more about hypnosis than hypnotherapy, but the processes involved, definitely one can use it for therapy. So the intention of writing them was for laymen, so that anybody and everybody can pick them up and understand what hypnosis is all about and what conversational hypnosis is all about.
You have described hypnosis as an influence of the subconscious mind. So, how exactly does it happen? I'm curious.
So hypnosis, I see one of the things that one needs to really look into when one wants to understand the how mind works or how minds get influenced. And I'm using the word mind very clearly, which is being distinct from the word brain. So when I'm saying mind, it influences the mind, and there are certain principles like repeating a suggestion, getting the attention of a person on a particular subject, or a breath. And then during these processes, a hypnotist makes sure the critical factor which rejects suggestion that we have in our mind is for some time is not present, is looking the other way, and the suggestion given by the hypnotist goes in. So it's more like, yes, influence and persuasion, because sometimes when we are off guard, somebody suggests to us somebody something and we totally accept it. When we are in company of, let's say a doctor walks into a room, we are very attentive because we are waiting for that doctor to tell us what is about to happen. We are in a state of a trance, and the doctor says something. Maybe it was not meant for you. Maybe, there was another person's report and he said, "Oh, this looks really grave, Mr. Rai." What would happen? I would immediately, instantly, in fact, even if I don't have any ailment, figure out that I have an ailment and I'll start reacting that way. So yes, hypnosis is one way of understanding how minds take on suggestions and how we react to those suggestions. So yes, it's a very powerful influencing technique.
So, in layman's word, we can say it's like hypnotizing others.
So yes, hypnotizing others is one point. But how do we hypnotize others? That's the process. That's the process is called hypnosis. Now, this can be done in a setting which is a clinical setting where you go for a therapy. So that's one part. So that's hypnotherapy. If the hypnosis is done on a stage, it's stage hypnosis. If hypnosis is done on street, it's street hypnosis. So when we're looking at hypnosis, it happens all the time. But apart from the fact that we are assuming that we need somebody to do hypnosis to someone, but the part, if you look at the whole picture in a bigger way, we are getting influenced. We are taking suggestions from everyone all the time. And that part, that when we say understanding how suggestions work and how we can influence is majorly hypnosis.
Can hypnosis be used to change habits and addictions Because I myself have tried it, and also in sessions with you, and I know that it's not as scary as it sounds, hypnotizing others. So how can a common man use it to, get over said addictions or habits? Is it used for that?
Yes, it is actually. So definitely it's not scary. There's nothing scary about hypnosis in a clinical setting or a stage setting, anything else. More so, it's the only byproduct you have is relaxation. It's more fun. And hypnosis worldwide is used in working with fear, phobias, anxiety, pain, habits. Definitely. One of the major area where people use it is for smoking cessation, change in the habit of smoking. So yes, changing the habit of eating more. All these areas, so, you know, are where hypnosis works. And hypnosis is purely a system where we are suggesting in a way to pick up a different habit. What is a habit? A habit is that a suggestion that you've given to yourself. And now, in a similar way, we all use affirmations, right? To change things in our life, get up, look at yourself in the mirror, say these things, or at a particular time, do these things. These are rituals, these are things which go suggest things to us. Most of us would have experienced, some of us would have experienced the fact that, you simply tell your pillow, I want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you do get up. What is that? That is basically you suggesting your subconscious that make sure that I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you do get up. Hypnosis has so many benefits, specifically in last 20, 30 years. A lot of research has gone into various aspects, how hypnosis helps. And practically in every area of healing, self-development, hypnosis can be used.
You have worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of patients and people who have come to you for, help with different conditions. So, what would you say is the most common habit people want to change or addiction?
So one of the things that I would say is stress anxiety is one of the really common things that people want to work on. Then, of course, is personal development. If you have fear of public speaking, that would go, it would vanish. If you have any other fear, I've worked with a lot of people who were claustrophobic, fear of flying, different fears that they had about irrational belief systems that they had. All this would go with a couple of hypnotherapy sessions. So definitely habits, fears, phobias, anxiety. And one of the other areas that I've really used it well is pain. Hypnosis really works in pain management, especially if the pain is chronic and is a psychosomatic condition. Then definitely hypnosis works wonders.
So, could you lay out for our listeners the procedure for example, dealing with pain at their level, using
So
maybe sort of self hypnosis, or if there is something like that?
yeah, there is this. There is a there are people who believe all hypnosis is self hypnosis. There are people who believe there's nothing is hypnosis. Everything is anyway. We are in a trance state or another state, and hypnosis is simply utilizing that state. So let's say when we're talking about pain, now what we typically do in a session where pain management is required, we ask the person first to, let's say, identify where the pain is. It could be done with an emotional feeling or it could be done for a physical pain. So let's take an example. If the person has an emotional pain or a physical pain and they identify the body part where the pain is, so I'll ask, so we'll do a brief induction. And induction is the process where a hypnotist take a person into the state of hypnosis. It could be as simple as focus on your breath, close your eyes, and keep focusing on your breath and listen to the sound of my voice and keep relaxing. And as you relax, notice the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you are, the more relaxed you are, the deeper you breathe. So it's basically moving the focus inward, the attention inward. And the moment the attention is moved inward, the person begins to get into a state of trance. The next step that we do is we say, okay, look at the pain. Where exactly is it? Now, when we say look at the pain, it's kind of a disassociation technique. You get into a third perspective, third person mode. So you are now looking at something at your body. So we say, okay, look where it is. So let's say the person says, I have it here, right here in my shoulder. We'll say, close your eyes. If that pain had a color, what color would it be? So now what we're trying to do here, or what we do here in hypnosis, that's just one of the process we do. There are multiple processes. So we're saying, okay, that what was non-physical, now you're giving it a physical attribute, which is color. And say, okay, what is the shape? What is the size? What is the texture? And the person gets involved into defining shape, size, and texture, and simply say, okay, what you can do is use your right hand, scoop that color out, and I would stop mentioning the word pain now, because there is the words that have associations. So I'll say, okay, scoop that color out, move it, take it in your hand. How big is it? And then I'll simply assume that it has moved out, and the person would confirm that and say, okay, it's shape of a ball. How big is the ball? Make it smaller, make it smaller. And the count of 1, 2, 3, I'll make it small. It goes smaller. Then I'll make it small, goes smaller. And then say, okay, on the count, next count of 1, 2, 3, break it and give 1/2 to me. So the person breaks it, gives 1/2 to me, pretends, and I pretend to take it away from that person. Now, again, there's a disassociation, desensitization happening. The person has mentally moved the pain out. So what is this method? The subconscious is getting a message that it's no longer there, it has moved out. You're able to break it. Then I say, I'm walking away, far away, it no longer controls you, it no longer bothers you, and I dump it in the sea. It does not control you, it's far away from you. And I repeat the process a couple of times. During this whole thing, the message, the suggestion that is going again and again, again and again, that it is not bothering you, it's far from you, it does not control you, it's no longer with you. And voila, you do it for about 15, 20 minutes. And after a 20-minute session, you'll see the pain almost gone, or reduction would be really, really, really massive reduction into it. There are other techniques also, depending on the person, the time that you have, the kind of the pain the person has. We use different techniques, but this is one of the simplest techniques that anyone sitting here can simply close their eyes. Those who are listening to your podcast, simply get into that mode, focus on your breath, look at whatever, if they have an emotional pain, let them see where that emotional pain is coming from in their body. It could be the shoulder, it could be the heart, it could be the solar plexus, it could be the back, anywhere. And they can simply do this process. And instead of giving me the, passing it on, we have something what we call my friend Tim. So you imagine an imaginary person called Tim, you give that ball to him, you break that ball, give that ball, Tim would go. Imagine Tim doing things for you, Tim throwing it down, and that's it.
Okay,
it's a very powerful.
Like converting the pain into a physical body and then sort of disposing of. So
one of the presuppositions in hypnosis is that the mind that we have, the subconscious mind that we have, is irrational. It's not rational. Had it been rational, we would be able to explain so many things to ourselves rationally. But then we are not able to do that. So which proves that some mind is irrational. And when mind is irrational, it's also does understand the language of metaphors. It understands the language, the way we bypass the critical mind and work with the subconscious mind. So we can convey what it wants, what the result should be, by doing certain things which totally look absurd, but it works.
Okay, thanks. You have shared this process with the listeners, and I'm sure that they will certainly find it useful. In your book, Conversational Hypnosis in Action, you have also talked about conversational hypnosis and street hypnosis. What exactly is this?
Okay, so conversational hypnosis, I would say the father of conversational hypnosis was Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson is the guy, if you really want to understand conversational hypnosis. He's fabled that he would simply talk with somebody for 2 hours and the person would not have that problem anymore. So simply speaking, conversational hypnosis is the practice of hypnosis using the same model, same language, same kind of principles in your conversation to influence people.
You can hypnotize people while conversing with them or walking on the street.
The way I look at it, that hypnosis starts with trance, and trance is something that any human mind is very, very, very easily that one goes into. Let's take an example. I want you to think about a time when you were in a school and you were enjoying.
Okay, that would be at the playground.
right? And how do you feel when you were in that playground?
Oh, totally free.
So what happens is I'm simply evoking an emotion and taking you there.
Mm.
And when the emotion is already evoked, there are certain principles in hypnosis that say when you have an emotional spike, if you suggest somebody or associate something that with somebody, you'll have a positive reaction to it. So, the principles, the language, all matters. We say using double blind binds is another example. So double binds, I'll say, if I have to ask you something, let's say I want to have an appointment with you. Then saying, Ranjit, when do we meet next week? Versus, do we meet Thursday 4 p.m. or Friday 7? Which one would have a better response rate?
Second one, obviously. Yeah.
Because that's a double bind. I'm also pre-assuming that we are meeting anyway.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying I'm pre-assuming meeting anyway, I'm just giving you two options. Our mind, human mind, is the way it is, loves all things sorted out and easier to pick up two options.
Okay. So you're suggesting that a better way to deal with people and situations in your life is to have a stronger will yourself and should have already made up your own mind.
No, that's one part. I'm saying the language that we use.
Yeah.
If we understand the basic structure, how language is structured, how we respond. There was a study done which said if you use because, then people are more likely to agree to your demand or request. So what they did was there was a photocopy machine in an office. People were photocopying, and then somebody would simply walk up. When there's a queue, somebody would walk up and say, I have to photocopy. Can I break the queue? When they're asking normally, they were usually allowed 20-30% of the time. So next, what they did was the person started asking, can I do photocopy because I have to do photocopy? It's a very stupid argument. But the moment the person started using because, the compliance rate went to about 60-70%. More, he was allowed to cut in the line more number of times. Because I said so. We are so tuned to it throughout our life. Our moms, our parents, they don't give us reasons. They simply say, because I said so. And that's where the basic fundamental, because somebody said so, because I have this, because this.
Okay, so is it why we find certain people very charismatic? And as you have also said in your book, that monarchs, billionaires, and even writers are hypnotic.
Yeah, we find people charismatic. We find people who are easily able to influence. So they either have natural ways which way they through do it, or there are people who actually learn how to speak, learn how to behave, learn how to modulate their voice, learn how to use the body language, verbal, non-verbal communication. Politicians influence a lot of people. Religious people, religious leaders, they influence a lot many people. So one of the qualities that one should have when one is dealing with, if you're dealing with somebody with a large number of people, is charisma. So charisma is one of the things that if you practice enough, one of the traits that you can build using hypnosis.
Okay, so what are the kind of processes people will be able to learn from your book?
The book on conversational hypnosis is all about using conversation, hypnosis in conversation and influencing people. Whereas the book about rapid induction and everything else talks about how to hypnotize people in the more formal setup, be it a stage setup, be it a clinical setup. So there's a distinction between these two books. So one is specifically if you looking to learn the process of hypnosis, then rapid inductions is one of the things that you should learn. If you're looking to just you be more influential in everyday scenarios, when you're talking to somebody, when you going out in your office and everything else, I would suggest conversational hypnosis is the best way to explore it.
You also talk about the inner game.
The inner game is basically how do we label ourselves? How do we see ourselves? That's one of the biggest part of the personality that we have. Can I be charismatic or influential if I don't see myself that way? If I see I'm not confident, I'll not be able to present myself as confident. If I see myself in somewhat lesser way, if I have a limiting belief, my inner game would not be up to that stage. So let's say if I want to go out, influence people, be somebody you can talk to anybody, do I see myself like that? If I don't, I'll not be able to do that. So that's what inner game is all about. Inner game is talking, using hypnosis to change how you see yourself to a person what you want to be. So you are what you are right now, and you know it because you can't. That's the only person you can't lie to is yourself. So we know as we see ourselves, and then how do we want to be is the question. We change ourselves, we project, we use techniques and hypnosis to gain more confidence. We, speak out, go talk to more people, be more extrovert if you want to, be more introvert, practice a skill. People use it for in sports enhancements. The application of inner game where you use hypnosis to project how you would be are immense.
So, do you have any interesting stories to narrate about hypnosis? Because you have worked with so many people.
I worked with somebody who had claustrophobia for 40 years, and that woman would not go into a lift ever. She would not go into a basement parking. It was very difficult for her to use a metro. And the first session we did, after that, she, used a lift. There's a process in hypnosis. We did that, and we got the phobia out in 2 sessions. There are many others. Like I was doing this workshop on using hypnosis for cancer care in Chennai. So there was a lady. She said, okay, she has a pain in her ankle. She has it for about 5 years now. And the doctors have said nothing is wrong, and still she is not able to resolve it. And we said, okay, come on the stage. But the fact was that she did not understand English in a very, very, way that she would understand all my instructions. So what we did was we simply said, okay, I will give instruction to somebody who would translate it in Tamil for her. And that's it. So we spent about 20 minutes, 25 minutes with her. And after that, the pain was gone. And she was so confused. Like it was so beautiful to see the feeling. Like she was moving her ankle. She was trying to find it. She was put pressure on the heel and everything else. And where is it? Where is it gone?
Okay, to wrap up, how can people use hypnosis in a constructive way in day-to-day life?
So I think self-development is one of the areas where somebody should look at. Self-hypnosis, self-development is one thing that all of us can use and do changes in our life in a way that we think right now is not possible. But when we use self-hypnosis, when we use these small modifications in everyday life, it's just wonderful. It comes out really good.
Okay. Saket, thank you for joining us. Can you tell people where they can contact you?
Thanks, Ranjit. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. People can contact me on my email, which is saketar@gmail.com, or they can get in touch, WhatsApp me, call me on my phone number, which is 956-0044-150. And I'll say thanks again for having me on the show. Thank you very much.
That was a conversation with Saket Rai. Well, listeners, if you would like to share about a book or know authors you would like to put me in touch with, you can reach me at podcast@raymondproductions.org. That is RAMONPRODUCTIONS.org. Thank you for listening to this podcast of Books and Us. If you liked it, pass the word and subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. So that's all for this episode. This is your host Ranjit Monga signing off. Till next time, goodbye and take care.